Hello everybody. So last week we had technical difficulties. This week we don't have technical difficulties, but our guest does. So unfortunately we are having to postpone our guest, I'm afraid. And so we will be meeting with him next week sometime, which we'll let you know. In the meantime, though, we thought since we're all here and since we're looking beautiful, we may as well talk to you guys a little bit. So what we thought was you guys might have some burning questions that you would like to ask us. So we're going to hopefully have some questions and answer them because we're totally doing this on the fly right now.
No pressure.
Question roulette.
Yeah. So we'll introduce ourselves. So obviously I'm Aimee. Who else is here? Who wants to introduce themselves?
I'm Natasha.
I'm looking at the next. And I'm Jess.
And we are the Haunted Auckland Girls, better known as the HAGs. So it's not insulting. We like it. So that's cool. So we were hoping to bring you an interview with a lovely man called John Cruz this evening. John is in the UK, but we've been having some problems with his microphone. So we are hoping that we can get that sorted for you so that he can tell you all about some of the paranormal investigations he's done and his work over on the North Shore of Auckland at the Kennedy Park installations over there, which is a really awesome historical site. So we actually found out about it from one of our followers, who I'm not sure if he's actually watching this evening or not. So hopefully he is. So if you are, hello, Liam. So let's have a look. Does anybody have any questions for us? Let's see.
One from Kelly.
We've got one from
Cheers,
Kelly. All right. What have we got, Kelly? What's
your
question?
fave NZ site that we've been to?
Oh,
that's hard.
It
I haven't
depends.
been to any really cool ones yet. I think for me, it's probably King Seat at the moment. King Seat is a really, really cool place, just historically, but I'm a history buff, so I love getting into all those older places just to see that sort of thing. So, yeah. What about you, Barb?
Mine would probably be Massey House, just because I had that unexplained jumper tug, which I still can't wrap my head around, let alone figure out how or what it was. Tash?
Right. My one would probably be
She's
the
in the
Mercer one. I'm a bit in the Zoom zone. My one's probably doing the Mercer project because it's not just one site, it's a whole bunch of other sites. And as we investigate each of them historically as well as paranormally, it is quite interesting just seeing all the contrast to how the area was and how it is now.
Jess?
So many, yeah. All of them have their own different histories and stuff behind it too. I reckon, well, the first one that I ever did was, I think it was Mercer. Oh no, it was Helensville, I think, was the first like proper one that I did. And it was interesting because there were so many different things. Like we had the schoolhouse, we even had that little like the barn, and the courthouse as well. And there were a couple of little instances there, but it was, yeah, that one was pretty cool. But yeah, probably Massey too, because just tiny little things that couldn't be explained both times that we went. Probably Massey for the ooh, and then Helensville for the history behind it, I reckon.
No, that's cool. So Kelly also has a follow-up question, and she wants to know if we've got any future places planned and will we be doing any live feeds. So there are always a big long list of future places that we're trying to get into and we're looking at. So we're tentatively hoping that we might be able to make some connections to this Kennedy Park at the moment, but that's in very early stages. That would be really cool. We also were supposed to be going to some locations in the Coromandel coming up as well that had been set up. But obviously we're still stuck in lockdown level 4 up here in Auckland. So it's not going to be happening for a while, but it will be happening. And I would imagine that when we are there, because we've got multiple locations there over a whole weekend, we would be having a couple of live feeds from some of those locations. Yep. I'm just thinking, what else have we got on the cards coming up? We were hoping to possibly head down to the South Island later this year, but I don't know if the South Islanders want us Aucklanders down there anymore.
We're not
to
really
investigate this
Aucklanders. We're not really Aucklanders, us three.
No,
We're
Yeah,
outside. We're just classed as Aucklanders.
we're on that cusp.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
I mean, I am, but I'm a country girl at heart, so Auckland is my nesting place.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, I think we would love to hear more places that you guys would like us to go to if you know of places, just to give us some ideas. I mean, we are all fairly new to the team. We've sort of been in for a year or so now. So there are a lot of places that probably the more established members like Sam and Mark have been to previously, but we're excited to go anywhere because we're still new, fresh out the box kind of thing. So that's awesome.
We will gladly spend a night on a rock or something just to be able to say that we've been there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Other people look for like 5-star accommodation, beds. We're like, no, just give us the good stuff. We'll sleep on whatever.
Yeah. That's it. When they say, oh, it's a backpackers, but it used to be a prison, you're like, we're there. It's awesome. It's great.
Take that over a hotel any day.
So Tess has got a question as well. So Tess has put me through my paces today with my PT session, and now she's causing the burpees were not enough pain. She's now sending me some Ed and Lorraine Warren questions as well. So she has said, do you all think that Ed and Lorraine Warren were successful fakes or the real deal? So what do you reckon, Tashi?
I'm kind of on the fence. I think they embellished a lot of the things that happened, and there's quite a few things that have come out later. But like with any investigation, even like with police, people do change their story and do sort of not recall all the potential events that happened. I'm not very sold on Ed, but maybe Lorraine was probably legit. Yeah, so I don't really follow them very much because I just don't. But my partner does, and she seems to have a similar opinion of Lorraine was probably the real deal. And also we know Satanists, and they're not as bad of people as they're portrayed in, like, say, the current Conjuring movies and stuff.
Most recent movie, gosh.
Yeah. But yeah,
It was a beautiful love story. I mean,
With pretzel people. Yeah.
it was a rom-com, really. Yeah. What are your thoughts, Barb?
I don't really know. I'm sort of the same as Tash. Some things, yeah, maybe, or they just had really good luck guessing it, or there's other times you sort of think, I don't know. It's sort of something I don't really think about with them. I don't know. I really don't know.
That's kind of like goes for a lot of things, isn't it? We just really don't know. I think I mean, it's fair to say they profited off a lot of the stuff they did, whether or not it was at the time or today. I mean, they've got their foundation and everything, which is awesome. It's really interesting to see, but clearly they've got profits hanging off of most of the stuff that's come out, the Conjuring movies, all that kind of stuff.
The movie's great.
The movie's great. So, but I mean, yeah, you never know. I mean, the field that we're in, we're doing, I guess you could say we're doing that kind of same thing, just minus the, I guess, like you said, Tash, you never know about Lorraine, what her story is or how much of it she's actually experienced in real life. But we can see it from both angles, I think. So yeah, I'm
I
on the
think
fence too.
it's quite interesting when you look at some of the most famous cases, sort of the Perron family, and even with the latest one from the Conjuring movie, with the court case, that sort of thing. When you actually look at the information, when it gets back to the young boy that supposedly started it, David Glatzel, I think it was, the young boy who was supposedly possessed in the first place, he has since come out and said, I never was possessed. So his brother has come out and said that. His dad said that at no point did he ever say that anybody in his house was possessed. So there are, you know, cases for and against whether things were embellished or whether people have changed their stories over time or whatever else, you don't know. And you know, the Warrens aren't here to defend themselves anymore. So
it was a long period of time that they've spent keeping up this act, if some people want to call it that as well. They've dedicated their entire lives to this work. So whether or not some of it is dreamt up by media, whether or not some of it lay a bit more low or anything like that, they have dedicated their lives to the research behind the paranormal. So you've got to give them credit for that at least. Yeah.
So Warwick has asked, have any of us been to Te Makatu Cemetery Reserve? So I can say, no, I don't even know where it is. So that will be one that will be going straight on my list and straight on my research to go find out. The name rings a bell for some reason, though. I'm not
Googling
sure. Yeah, Google, that's what it is.
It's not far from us.
Is it not?
It's in
Tahiki.
Rarama.
It's the HAGs day trip.
It's near Arimu.
Is it?
Arimu
Near
Road.
Ararimu?
Yeah. Well,
That
heading out there.
Ararimu.
That sounds like a level 2 trip to me. Put that on the
It's
list.
a HAG day.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
That's cool. All right. Now, next question. Where did you grow up, Natasha?
Oh.
I grew up in Auckland.
Okay.
I was born at National Women's and I grew up on the North Shore.
It's interesting because Lydia then responded with, was the shore. So I think you may have someone who knows you here. So, poor you if you do.
That's my sister.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
Oh.
She might know.
Oh, she might know. Yeah.
She might know.
Okay.
She's an inkling.
Oh, this is a cool question. So, Sam would like to know, what advice would you tell any upcoming novice or rookie investigators that you wished was told to you when you first started investigating?
Oh, what a good one.
Oh, see the cogs?
Aimee?
We're getting the cogs turning in our heads, everything.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Go on, you go first. You go first. No.
Paper, scissors, rock. I guess just be open to a lot of things. And I guess being closed-minded is probably one of the worst things that you can do getting into something like this. We want to make sure that we are experiencing so many different things. We're learning so many different things every day. So yeah, just being open to new experiences, also being open to the fact that most of the time something may or may not happen, but that's also pretty cool because we can still start to, for the want of a better word, debunk stuff and figure out why things aren't happening or vice versa. So yeah, just being open, I guess, having a nice open mind.
I was just going to say, don't rush out and buy like a whole ton of equipment until you know how it works.
Yeah.
Like I spent a lot of money in my first 6 months, and now I sort of go, oh, it's cool, but I probably should have bought something else. And it gets really expensive over here when you ship in so much stuff from Australia or from America or wherever else. So, and as I discovered in this team, if you need something, Mark's got it. He's got like boxes and boxes of stuff.
He's the one that takes 10,000 hours to unload the car. We're like, do you want any help? No, I've got it.
And another 10,000 hours unpacking everything back in the car.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably the one thing I would say. Don't rush into buying anything. See if anyone else has got it. But at the same time, I would also say if some things are free, there's a reason they're free, and it's probably because they haven't necessarily got, you know, the scientific backing behind them or whatever else as well. So just, again, do your research, talk to other people who are out there doing it. There's a lot of teams around New Zealand who would be quite happy to answer questions about why they use the technology that they use, I think.
There's also a good section on our website too about technology and what different types to use, and hashtag plug Untitled.com.
Yeah, sort of on the side of being open-minded and closed-minded. Another thing is, if you see a picture on the internet of what may be pareidolia or maybe orbs, you can't really say because you've got no background or context of that photo. So if you take a photo of a window, for instance, on the outside of the building, but you don't take a picture of the inside of layout of the building, you can't really say that it was pareidolia or not, or it was paranormal or not. So when you do actually do investigations by yourself or as a group, it's probably better to do it as a group, just for the safety aspect. Make sure that you do take a baseline, so not only just photographs and things, but also of the noise, ambient noise of during the daytime and also in the nighttime. So when you do actually record EVPs or video, potentially with EVPs, you can either debunk or be like, I don't actually know what that is, and look into it further.
Very fair point. Yeah, the amount of times that I've gotten so excited, and I remember Aimee, do you remember, it was at Helensville, I think, or was it at Mercer? And we got so excited, we saw something in the window, and we spent literally 15 minutes trying to get 10,000 different angles of this one window. And I think it ended up being nothing. But yeah, we were so, I remember Mark was like, you guys are right. We're like, yeah, we saw a window. Yeah, we took so long to figure it out. But
You saw a window.
Yeah. There was a light.
It was like lit up. There was a light in
Yeah.
it. It was amazing.
It could have been a paranormal window.
Could have been paranormal.
No, I think
Or even-
it was a reflection off my camera, I think, or something like that.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the other thing, to being open to the fact that even though you get excited about something, that's still awesome, because it's cool to get excited, but, you know, just being open to ideas of why it might be happening.
And
But yeah, that
being
window was
open to the
awesome.
fact that you're wrong. Yeah.
And now you've got 10,000 photos on your phone that you now need to delete because, or look through now to find that one photo.
Yeah.
No, you can save them for our website.
Yeah.
Post the picture without context and be like, did you see that?
It's a window.
Yeah. No. What about you, Barb? Anything you want to add to any rookies out there?
Oh, I think you guys covered it all.
Cool. So I think it's Niche says there is a house in Hamilton that is known that there is a portal of some sort. I've experienced some ghostly activity as I used to work in this house. It was a residential care home for people with disabilities as a support worker. So that sounds like details you need to send through in a private message to Haunted Auckland. Tell us more about this. We're keen to know. But it does make me think about when we were at Massey House, the very first time I went there, we sort of walked into this storage room, and you walked in and it was almost head height, and it almost felt like this sort of staticky something around your head. And it was there for a little bit. Natasha experienced it first. She called me and I experienced it. Even Mark sort of went, oh, that's a bit weird. And then a bit later on in the evening, we went into that room and we kept thinking that there was something in this far corner of this room. And quite a few of us sort of were stood there or sat down. And it was almost like the people who were standing, it was a feeling around the knee height, and the people sitting on the floor, it was more head height. So it was this consistent height of something hovering in the air that felt weird. And we were actually saying, is this kind of like a weird portal thing going on where there's a spirit moving between the upstairs where they were getting messages with lights and things and going on, and then they would stop, and then all of a sudden we would experience things downstairs in this other room as well. And was it like I don't know, a travel portal. Of
Yeah,
some
that was
sort.
freaky. Because it wasn't, yeah, I remember that too. It wasn't like you were standing on one spot and then you moved and felt it in another spot. It was when you were walking through the door and you felt it breeze past your face. And when we were sitting on the floor and we felt it move. So it wasn't like you walked into a spot and felt it. It was constantly shifting around us. Yeah, it was weird. Not to mention that was also the room that you had all of the voice equipment malfunctions too.
And your torch.
Oh, my torch.
Yeah, that was random. It was
I
like
should post that
Natasha
video.
loves-
I should post that
she
video on.
was that the butt
She's
crack?
like, oh my God, Aimee, you got so angry. I'm like, oh, that wasn't angry. That wasn't angry. I was pretty angry, but not that, you know. But yeah, I was just like, stop messing with my stuff. Ugh. Yeah. But
That was
actually, I
very
should have been really
strange.
excited because it was
Yeah.
messing.
You're just really, like getting more angry, and I'm like, ooh, I've got you on video camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was
But
very
not on audio
weird.
recorder.
No, but I could. You can still hear you in the background. I probably have to bleep it for
Oh, yeah.
YouTube or something like that. But,
Yeah.
yeah, we did do a sweep with the EMF meter, and we didn't pick up any spikes in EMF. So yeah, we can't explain what we were all experiencing at the same time in this room.
To me, it was very much like those little prong head things that you put to massage your head. It felt like that, but like over your head and your neck and your shoulders. It was kind of this weird staticky tingle. It was it's not anything I've experienced at any other location since.
It wasn't cold. Yeah, it was
No.
very odd. Very odd.
Yeah.
I experienced it as first cold, and a chill went down my spine, and then it felt like kind of staticky crossed with when your leg goes to sleep, you get pins and needles, that sort of feeling, but it wasn't as intense as pins and needles, and it wasn't as intense as, you know, how you get out the car and you zap yourself. It was kind of a cross between the two. It was very bizarre.
Sometimes I'd love for people to come in and like watch us do it, because at that time I remember there was a few of us sitting down all huddled together, and there was a few people standing up, and we were all cornered in this one corner of the room, and it would have looked so hilarious. Like, what are you doing?
We're sitting in the dark. What else do you do on a Friday night?
At midnight.
So another question from Kelly. She would like to know, who are we compared to in the paranormal shows? So anyone who saw my live feed from King Seat in the Cupboard would know that I've been called the Aaron of the group occasionally, because people like to send me into creepy places and watch me suffer. So I'm
To be
not
fair,
quite...
To be fair, I went in the same cupboard, and I was fine. And Sam even held the door shut, so I couldn't get out. And I wasn't panicking. I was perfectly fine in there. And you were like, I don't want to go in there.
No, I had a feeling. I just did not want that door shut. Did not want that door shut. Then the next time I went, it was fine. That feeling wasn't there. So again, one of those weird things. I don't know. Is there anyone else that you would like to be compared to?
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know.
I feel like the ones that you see in TV shows and like Casper the Friendly Ghost and stuff, for example, it's like kind of true. I don't know, we kind of like bring in a different kind of lens to it, I guess, I reckon.
After watching Paranormal Lockdown, I would love to wake up looking like Katrina in the morning. I don't. I've got makeup smeared and my hair's like, you know, and all this, but she wakes up and she looks amazing. So I'm like, I don't know. That would be my
It's the spooks that keep her young.
Yeah, it's all the ectoplasm.
Oh, good.
Okay, so Mark is here and he is asking, what are your favorite famous ghost photos?
It's ghost photos. I remember there was one, and I can't remember the name of it, but it comes vividly to mind. It's in the cemetery, and it's a man with a top hat, and he's walking between tombstones. I can't remember the actual name of it. And I'll Google it and I'll post it. But yeah, and it was yeah, like Tash was saying before, you can't really judge whether it's pareidolia or not because you never really know what the context of the photo was, but it was taken a while ago, maybe in like the 1970s or 1980s or something. And yeah, vivid photo image of a man with a top hat and a long coat walking in between tombstones, maybe like 200 or 300 meters away. And apparently they looked back and he disappeared. He wasn't there before. And yeah, that kind of stuck in my brain. I'll have to see if I can find it and post it in the comments.
I would say the one that people say has been debunked, but it hasn't been debunked, and it is of the little boy with the spaceman behind him. Like, there's lots of theories that it is the mother. I can't remember. It was taken on the moors, wasn't it? From memory, in England. And it's a photograph of this boy, and the father supposedly took a photo of his boy, and then when they developed the photo, they could see a picture of essentially someone in a spacesuit behind him. And people say it has been debunked, but then again, like all the investigations and things around it, even I think the Fuji company actually authenticated not even just the photo, but the negative has not been overexposed or been played with. So that's probably my favorite one, because again, it's no context. You're taking the word of the people that are there. There's a theory that was the wife in the background and a dress blew up and some sort of weird exposure happened, but the photos have been identified as not fake, but also we don't know what it actually was. It's sort of a ghost photo because you don't know where the space person came from, for instance.
There's a similar one where they think they've got samurai feet or something behind someone as well, with the old samurai shoes as well, that I'm not sure. My favorite is still, I can't think of the name of it. It's the one where it's the swirly staircase and you've got the hand and the spirit moving down the staircase and that flowy. I just love that picture. I don't care whether it's real or not. I just love that. It's sort of like, that's always been my image of this ghost and a knighty going down an old staircase in an old haunted house. That's been my traditional ghost since I was a kid. So I love that one. And yeah, the Lady of Raynham Hall, that was probably one of the first ones I ever saw. So I love that. And then there's the little boy at Amityville, where they thought it was one of the DeFeo children, but they've since said it wasn't. It was actually one of the children that was with the people they're investigating. But that was what I loved about that, was you were instantly drawn to the child. You could see him and you saw the eyes and whatever, but actually I looked at that photo so many times and someone says, what about the other kid in the picture? And I was like,
yeah, I see the other kid.
Yeah, and there's two, and it's like, yeah, it's fascinating.
And yet the other kid never gets mentioned.
No. All right. Did you have anything to add, Barb?
Mine would probably, I think the one I've always really been fascinated with is the lady standing in the doorway at the Waverley Sanatorium, Waverley Hills. And she's the nurse that apparently got pregnant to a doctor, and when he found out, he didn't want anything to do with her or the baby, and she hung herself. That's always been a thing for me, that one. I'm not sure why, but I've always been fascinated with. But the photo, she does look pregnant if you actually look at it. It's not really been investigated much, that photo, but a lot of people have apparently seen, heard, or felt her around. But Waverley Sanatorium is somewhere I've always wanted to go. Always. That's my bucket list.
Yeah, that's cool. So Tess has asked, can you please tell us all your favorite paranormal podcasts? I need these for my lockdown walks. So
I'm going to go first and say I don't listen to them, so I haven't actually got one. I more listen to someone else on podcasts, and that's Bianca Del Rio. but I don't listen to podcasts of ghost things or anything, just because I like to go into an investigation with my own idea of things. And the way I see it is, if I listen to something and they'll start imprinting on my mind when I go in there and be like, oh yeah, I'm listening to a podcast and hearing that they had this happen. So I just make a point of not listening to those.
Yeah. I don't. Oh no, Aimee, you go, because I'm still trying to think. I'm trying to remember the name.
You should go last, because Aimee is like a fanatic podcast. Like fanatic.
Yeah, true.
I love Anne and Renata, Frightfully Good, with their True Hauntings podcast. If you don't listen to anything else, listen to them. So they're a little bit kooky, they're a little bit crazy, they're from Australia. They've got fingers in so many pies at the moment. They've got YouTube clips where they're reviewing things, and they've got a radio show now. They're so much fun. They absolutely love what they do. But what they do is, each episode they pick a famous haunting and they tell you the backstory or the history. Then they'll tell you all the haunted stories, and then they'll come to a conclusion at the end whether they believe it is actually a true haunting or not. And it's great because they start off with some of the big hitters. They start off with Amityville, all those kind of things, and then they get you all your your Junie and all those ones. And they do some really small ones as well that you've never heard of. But I love listening to them because they're just a little bit crazy. They're awesome. And then on the other side, my other one, see, I can't stop now. My other one is the Dead Souls Social Club. So they actually stopped for a while and they've just restarted up. And it's this guy with this beautiful, quiet Welsh voice. And he is a lot more, he's a bit more skeptical. He's like a lecturer type style. He's very factual. He gives you, he's talking about when he did a ghost investigation. He tells you the background of all the equipment he used and the temperatures and the humidity and all these things. But at the same time, he has some really cool experiences. And he talks about everything. He talks about Skinwalker Ranch. He's talking about Roswell. He's talking about my mind's gone blank. The guy that took the money and disappeared off the plane.
DB Cooper.
Yeah,
DB Cooper. He they do all of those, as well as ghosts and clairvoyant sessions and all that sort of stuff. And just be warned though, it has a really loud intro, like really loud. So because he talks and it's quiet, and then the intro comes and it makes you jump every time you're listening to it. It's like that is one I would definitely recommend.
I'm putting that on my list.
That's it. Yeah.
I don't listen to, I'm kind of a little bit like Barb, but also because I prefer to watch documentaries and TV shows and stuff on paranormal. But kind of on the same thing, Serial Killers podcast I listen to on the daily, and I love it. They go into, they're not psychologists, but just the music they have, the haunting music they have behind their stories. They go into the history of the person from when they were born all the way through to obviously and they delve into the psychology behind it, and it's just blooming awesome. But I don't know if maybe this is a good or a bad thing, but my favorite paranormal show to watch is BuzzFeed Unsolved. And I kind of take it with a grain of salt because you never really know how, serious it actually is, or, but BuzzFeed Unsolved, Ryan and Shane, they're actually such an amazing duo. I don't know if you guys have watched them before, but just the chemistry and they make it just so enjoyable to watch. And they delve a lot into the history behind it as well. They do their own first-hand research too. And it was the first time that I'd ever actually seen something happen on film before I obviously started doing it myself. So I find them really, really enjoyable. And they also do true crime as well. So if you ever want a YouTube channel to watch, I suggest that.
I
don't really do podcasts at all.
And that's all I have to say about that.
I do like what Jess does. I watch quite a lot of documentaries and history type programs, things on YouTube, and also read obviously stuff online, especially my partner and I have a morbid fascination with serial killers as well, and we try and guess like from people's intros like which one it is,
Yes.
before you
Like,
know what
it's
it is.
Jeffrey.
It's like,
Such a
oh,
cool guy.
that's Edward Kemper. No,
Yeah.
that's a Green River killer. But I guess it's another medium that I could possibly get into if I had a little bit more time. But I like the visual things rather than having people just talking. Actually being able to see like not just serial killers, but what these places look like, for instance, because you have no idea if you're just listening to a podcast. Yeah, so
try serial killers, Tash. I reckon you'll like it. Even just one go. They're so dramatic. He murdered 7 people. It's awesome.
One of those. It's like what is that lady's name? Paula Zahn. She's very dramatic on that TV show. I just crack up whenever she comes on. I don't know. It's just the way she talks. It's just like, why can't you just talk like a normal person?
What was that first podcast that you said, Aimee? Was it Freaky Hauntings, was it?
Anne and Renata, Frightfully Good. So the actual name, if you're looking for it on like Spotify, is True Hauntings. Another one, just to throw it in there, is Cabinet of Curiosities.
I told you.
Yeah, Cabinet of Curiosities. It's really short episodes, really interesting little tidbits. That's good. All right, moving on. So how has your investigation style changed or evolved over time? And is there anything now that you do that's totally different to how you used to do
it? There's like, I guess.
I'd probably go in. I'll go, you go, Jess.
That's right.
No, after you.
No, after you.
All right, I'll go. Fine. No.
Quick, before.
I guess they will.
Told you, Steve. Say Aimee will start. No, I normally go into an investigation probably a little bit less eager for something to happen. Like when I first started quietly, and even though Mark's listening, I know he's listening. I used to go in really eager that something would happen, like, something would fly across because I was looking for this whole, yes, we exist, we are here, let me throw something at you to show it. But obviously that has not been the case. So I probably go in a little bit less eager about, something happening. I'm more going and going, oh, well, if it happens, that's great, that's terrific. If it doesn't, say la vie.
Yeah, I guess I always came into it half skeptical, half not. My mum's side is my mum's very into paranormal. She's had experiences, whereas my dad's obviously coming from a more skeptical background, so I kind of approached it with both. But yeah, I'm exactly the same, Barb. I was like, oh my God, we're going to see something, and I know it's probably not going to happen, but come on, we're going to get a light switching on or something, surely. And even though, and at the time when something would happen, I remember it was at Helensville, and I think in the schoolroom we had something happen. There were like 3 taps on the wall outside, I think, and I was like instantly like, "There's something here." Yep, cool, no, sweet, let's do this. This is exciting, and it still is exciting. But for example, at Massey, we had all of those EMF readings. We had the light switching on and off, and even though it was still like intriguing, you kind of. Now I go into it more of like okay, cool, so that matches, we've got the readings on here, the temperatures drop down, so now there's something correlating, rather than like light switching off, oh my God, yeah, it's a ghost. So still exciting. I agree with Barb. Yeah, but you kind of like learn how to assess it more.
I think probably changed a bit more for me is I sort of go in cold, so I don't do heaps of research on the place. Because I feel that can kind of lead you down one path, and potentially who may come to light is not exactly who you think you're talking to. I find it better to do research later when we go through all the footage and then we end up writing reports. otherwise you sort of go on with one view. Oh, it's got to be this person at this time, but in theory it could be anybody who passed through those doors or was on that property. So rather than sort of, focus, sort of have the narrow focused or the blinders on, you can be a bit more open-minded about who you're talking to, and you can also be a bit more flexible in how you approach the investigation. Like you could go into investigation with all the same gadgets, but places like Kingset and that, I don't think approach with lights and things is a good idea, because a lot of people had electric shock therapy, and they're probably less likely to talk to you because that caused them harm if they were present. So you can sort of be a bit more flexible and adapt to your sort of conditions a bit more.
I think starting out, when we started to get responses, whether it be lights or whatever else, I was very quick. I wanted to ask the next question and the next question, and they became double or triple barrel questions rather than yes, no. And it took a while just to go, okay, calm down a little. And so now I tend to sit back and I let Mark and Sam and everybody else kind of start the conversations and communication sessions, and I just sort of get a feel for what's going on before I'll actually try and think, what do I want to ask? What is likely to get a response from what I might feel about this place or know about, potentially the error or whatever that is associated with it. So I'm a little bit more, thoughtful in the way I go into this, rather than being this happy little puppy who's excited to be in this old, dark, possibly filled with dead pigeons kind of place, sort of thing.
Yeah, you're so right.
I'm still a puppy though. I'm still so excited. I'm so excited. It's just like, yeah. And it's interesting because Mark has. Oh yeah, this is my whole life. This is exciting. It's like it's Monday and I'm like, oh, on Friday we're going there. It's so exciting. It's what it is. So Mark has said, do you think thought forms can create paranormal activity? As in, can a ghost be created just by thinking hard enough about it? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say, I'm going to go out there and say, I think you can convince yourself that you're experiencing paranormal activity when it's not, because perhaps you're wanting something so bad, you're not seeing potentially the most likely probable things that are causing that bump or that scrape or whatever it is, that shadow. You need to still be able to think about that. If you really, really want it to be your nana, because your nana's passed away, you're going to start to see things that perhaps aren't there. And I mean, that's, not a popular opinion. It's, but I think that is the case. But the thought of wanting there to be a spirit and giving it attention and talking to it and all that sort of stuff is not going to make it stronger, I don't think. I don't think it's going to do that.
You always get told, I remember I always got told that when I first started getting involved in paranormal and, supernatural shows and stuff and reading it up online, that if you think the people who will see them are the people who are open to them and the people who want to see them in their lives and people who open their minds. So it's almost like that manifestation type of thing. And then that goes into a whole other period of like how the mind works and how you can manifest things into your life. And, you'll be able to see it. Children see things more because they're more open-minded. But yeah, I agree. It's I don't think you can dream up a ghost or conjure one from your mind. And this is completely separate to mediums and psychics and stuff as well, because there's a whole other beast. But people who go in and it's like paradolla, you think you see something, you're going to see something. Your brain is the biggest tool in your body. You're gonna see something if you convince yourself enough. But that's where we kind of come into it, I guess, is where we take that out of the equation. But it's a really interesting one, because then you do delve into manifestations, psychics and mediums and the things that they can do. It's it's an interesting question.
Barb's giving us a side eye. She's got some thoughts going on.
No,
I would think
I haven't got glasses on.
I would think that maybe you can't manifest something up that isn't already there, but is Kelly said on the feed, that I've seen the same Kindred Spirits episode where everyone thought that it was the spirit was some dog boy, and they've been calling it a dog boy for everything, for all the investigations. Everybody's famous for this dog boy. So they made up a completely different story away from the house and came in and talked about it, and the thing manifested as what they talked about, a completely different entity. So the chances of this made up entity being in that house is, almost non-existent. So whatever was in the house was manifesting whatever the people in the house were expressing out, verbally, and obviously they had videos and whatnot. So I don't think you can just manifest a ghost, because I like to think that they were people or spirits that passed, and you wouldn't make your dead grandma perform for you, call her up wherever you wanted something, because they're people, so they choose to be there, I guess, to a certain extent. But I think certain spirits might be a bit cheeky, and if you say that they were a clown that went around murdering 20 people, then it'll be responding as a clown that murdered 20 people in whatever time period you said in the house. I don't think you can just conjure up something with intent. That has to already be there.
Well, that kind of ties into a follow-up question. This is also from Mark. Why do ghosts always wear clothes? It's not like their clothing dies.
I would like to say that I have never done a paranormal
dignity.
Investigation at a nudist beach. So I can't say for sure that when, say, a nudist dies, that they're actually clothed. So...
True.
I have to say, right,
yeah.
If you ask me in my mind's eye to imagine myself, I do not imagine myself naked.
I don't imagine a naked ghost either.
I'm always dressed. If you ask me to, just picture myself, I'm dressed. So I would imagine that if I'm going to put out an image of myself, that is how I'm going to look, probably 10 years younger, less wrinkles, maybe lose a few pounds. But
wake up looking beautiful. Hair just like on point. Well, if you have that mentality, what if the person who died was wearing a wig at the time, or if they were, I don't know, wearing like false teeth or something? Does that mean that the false teeth and the wig go with them? Surely you wouldn't see like a...
I think it's just how you want to be seen. People talk about spirits that had injuries where maybe they lost an arm or a leg, and yet when you see them, that arm or leg is back, because that's how they want to be seen. That's how they consider themselves to be, and that's how they put forward what they want you to see, I suppose. I'm not sure. I've never seen a
I'd love to see a naked ghost, though.
I've seen a shadow, but not a
I've never seen a full body apparition, but all the ones that people see tend to be, if they're female, they tend to be in a black or white flowing dress or gown, which is kind of odd, because a lot of people have died over the centuries. Like, why don't you see cave people? Why don't you see, I don't know, Neanderthals? Why don't you see, dead animals and things around that were here before humans are even? Why do we just see like sort of the 1800s ghost, and usually a guy in a top hat and a full suit with tails, usually with a walking stick? That's generally how people describe them.
Tails and
I mean, like, say if you died on Halloween, do you come back in your Halloween costume?
It could also be people's perception of the places that are necessarily haunted. Like, for example, homesteads and stuff, they're built in like the 1800s, so people go there, and the instant that they see something or hear something or feel something, it's instantly ghost, because it is in that time period where you'd expect it to be from. Whereas if something was happening, God forbid, actually no, it would be fine in my house, which was built a couple of years ago, people would probably be less prone to thinking, oh my God, it's haunted, there's a ghost, because it's newly built. Like, you wouldn't expect there to be any history or anything with it.
To counter that, like even places like without history. Like a lot of people see ghosts and these full body apparitions like just meandering around a cemetery, but they're all the same stereotypical 1800s in gowns or in full suits.
Maybe
Just
maybe
meandering
they've
around.
had more time to perfect their craft of spookiness.
Maybe
Maybe it comes over time.
it's more of an energy thing, I'd say. So potentially, why don't you see random ghosts from different periods of time?
Yeah, true.
I wonder though if you think, your Neanderthals and that sort of stuff as well, whether the energy is dissipated over time to the point that they can no longer manifest anymore. And that's why maybe, over centuries and centuries, that's why the ghosts that we are still seeing manifesting for the most part are only, maybe 300 years old or whatever. I mean, you do see the odd picture of like supposedly an apparition of a Roman centurion or something like that in the UK or whatever else. But, you have to wonder if maybe it's actually about simply the passing of time and the energy getting transformed over that time. So Bex has asked a question. She says, what if you were adopted but still saw a woman that turned out to be a grandmother when you found your birth mother decades later? Sorry, that was my daughter. Right, so what if you're adopted, you still saw a woman that turned out to be a grandmother when you found your birth mother decades later? So, I mean, could well be. I mean, the bonds of family and that sort of stuff. You wouldn't necessarily know at the time that it's your grandmother.
Well, that's like at my mother's place with the guy at the end of the hallway. My sisters and I, our entire lives, we saw this person standing at the end of our hallway who's dressed in like 1920 clothing, a grey suit with a hat, a bowler hat. And we've never met this guy. We never met him at all. And yet we found out he's actually our great-great-grandfather or great-great-great-grandfather. And it wasn't until we saw a picture and we pointed at it and said to Mum, that's the guy at the end of our hallway, that she said, that's your great-great-grandfather. And I mean, we've never met the man. And yet it's all us girls that see it, all us kids. So I don't know. I think it's possible.
I think it's possible. Or it could be a case of pareidolia, like your brain is conditioned to see faces, and usually familiar faces. It's like when people have dreams. You've either met or seen the face before.
We go off what we saw.
However, but you're so used to seeing the characteristics of throughout your family that have been passed down the line that you sort of maybe, I don't know, not manifest, but sort of superimpose them, like your brain is sort of in that state of mind.
The three of us saw it. None of us mentioned it until my middle sister started saying how she kept seeing this shadow around. And that's when I turned around and said, oh, is that the guy at the end of the hallway with the hat on, And now her daughter's doing it. And it's something, we don't talk about it. We've never talked about it, especially with the kids now. I mean, for her to now be seeing them, it's quite interesting. But it was so horrible because whenever you used to go from the toilet down the hallway, you would always duck thinking you were going to hit something. But of course, nothing was ever there. Horrible. But I don't know. I think it's something possible. I mean, family, whether you know of your birth mother or not, you've still got that bond, So I think something like that's definitely a.
And I suppose that's it. There's that intent there. You've got the spirit wants to connect with ancestors or with a place or whatever as well. And then within that, you've got maybe the person that's open to receiving it, whether it be a child or whatever. And that kind of ties in with a question from Sam from Haunted Auckland, where he said, where are the ghost dinosaurs? Assuming ghosts are some form of energy, does the energy eventually move on, change, or even die over time? And I think perhaps that's it. You've got to have a reason to be haunting where you're haunting.
With a residual
necessarily. Yeah, like it's sort of like, do dinosaurs feel the need to haunt the planes that they used to walk on, or whatever else. I don't know. Maybe it is more of a human trait, that FOMO, that fear of missing out. It's like, I want to stay,
animals
I want
that
to
have
see
strong
my daughter grow up.
Yeah, or animals that have strong ties to their human family. Like you hear stories about cats and dogs all the time coming back to their families. I know I've had a few instances where I may or may not have seen a spirit of our cat that came to say goodbye, and we found out that she had died a couple of days later. She'd run away, but I saw it 2 days before we found out. And yeah, so maybe it is that human tie. Like, we've never seen dinosaurs before. They've never seen us, so they probably don't have ties to us. So maybe it is that human connection, or it's an interesting one. Maybe it needs that connection to cross that plane. Who knows?
Maybe most of
that's the thing.
Most of them decomposed into fuel, and we just burnt them.
Yeah, so they're probably a bit hurt.
Yeah, they're like, we don't want to hang out with these people. They just set us on fire.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. So Mark is now asking, would vegetables have ghosts?
Vegetables.
They do have nervous systems and responses. So why wouldn't they have a soul? I don't know.
Some might say.
How could you tell if it was a ghost vegetable, though?
Yeah.
Would you pick it up?
Would it just sit there, like you just have like a random apparition of a piece of broccoli just appear on top of a table or something, and then like disappear?
And be like,
ghost broccoli.
Vegetables.
Now you guys are seeing the conversations we get into at like midnight, sitting in a dark room, waiting for lights to go off. This is where the brain goes.
Ghost broccoli.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen any apparitions of food or plants that I've killed or anyone I know else has killed. So I can't say for sure that we don't have any. I can't say for sure. I'm not saying yay or nay.
Yeah, we won't say no, but we won't say yes.
Yeah.
Not until we get it on camera.
If anyone has any photos
of ghost broccoli,
ghost dinosaurs, ghost plants, ghost anything that is no longer with us, I'd be interested. So we might start rounding up a little bit. One more question. As a team, you must. Yeah, about the special skill.
Yeah.
That one? Yeah. So as a team, you must each have a special skill. What is yours? It doesn't have to be ghost related, just a getting to know you question.
Aww.
So I'll go. I could talk my way out of a paper bag. I absolutely love the sound of my own voice. That's my special skill. You could get me anywhere and say, right, speak for 10 minutes on ghost broccoli. I don't know, whatever, and I can do it.
Well, you're in the right job.
Yeah, it comes from being a teacher and just having to make rubbish up and sound like you know what you're talking about, really. So, yeah, that's probably my special skill, I guess. What about you, Jess? I just want to add, Kelly has just said here, we hadn't noticed. Shocked. Sorry, Jess.
Special skill.
We can see you up the pole.
I know. Yeah, that's one. But okay, I've got 1.5. My first one is I am a pole fitness instructor by day and a serial killer ghost hunter by night. And I could eat an entire bowl of blue cheese if you give it to me. I will gobble it up. I love the stuff. I will eat it raw. Give it to me cooked. I don't care. I don't do them at the same time though. I don't do pole fitness and eating blue cheese, but that would be beautiful.
And not on an investigation. I don't know.
Tuna blue cheese? No.
Blue cheese.
But it might bring some ghost presence out. They might like blue cheese. I'm just saying.
You can sit in the closet.
Some ghost broccoli. The ghost broccoli might go blue cheese. Perfect.
See?
Yeah, maybe.
So
if my friend blue cheese.
If anyone knows of any places that either has a strong blue cheese aroma or anyone that likes blue cheese, hit us up. I'll be there.
She's not joking. She actually does do pole dance instructional stuff, and she's amazing at the angles and stuff. She gets
twisting my body into pretzel shapes, just like the Conjuring movie.
I think you should start like a new competition, so competitive eating but with pole dancing. That would be a pretty horrific combination.
I'd win that 100%, no question.
Because then you'd have to eat upside down, which makes it even more challenging.
And
so you think, so you can start, doing competitive eating and setting like, I don't know, a kilo of blue cheese. How quickly can you eat it upside down? Why doing a pole dance?
Don't tempt me, Tash. I'll do it.
Only
$20 says you don't.
It's only if you do it on a live feed. Live feed has to happen. You've told the followers now it's happening.
Okay, so whilst we're doing an investigation, I'm going to go upside down on the pole and eat blue cheese at the same time. Mix all my hobbies together.
Let's do it.
Yeah. We just have to bring the pole and the blue cheese, I guess.
Oh, the blue cheese is easy.
A pig for the nose.
All right, Tashi, what is your special skill? Come on, what's your superhero thing?
Probably the more technical side. Like, I like to know how everything works, like gadgets, etc. So I'm not afraid to go in and debunk stuff and pull things apart, and also look at the specs of some of the instruments that not only I use but other people use. Because one example is there's I can't remember it's one of your boxes that has everything in one. It's got the EMF, the pressure sensor, the tilt sensor,
the EDI.
Oh, the EDI, yeah.
EDI, the EDI too, or whatever they've designed. If you look at a lot of the specs, when the temperature fluctuations happen, it's like less than a degree. It's like 0.1, but it's only accurate to 0.5 of a degree. So that's something interesting. So you don't actually know whether it had fluctuated up or down because of just the tolerances on the actual machines. So I find that quite interesting, like when reviewing footage and things. And I like to put my camera away from everybody else. I tend to capture some weird stuff away from, maybe ghosts don't like to be bothered and they just do their own thing away from the group. Like, as you said before, you can't just conjure up a ghost and they're not, performing animals, so you can't make them show up where you want, when you want. So, I like to put my camera in sort of away from where the actual investigation's happening, just to help with
I'd say that
too.
Yeah, I'd say that's your special skill. Like, we were at a cinema, and everyone's sort of pointing towards the main cinema where all the things have happened, and Natasha's like, no, I'm pointing this way down the stairs towards a wall. And we're like,
why?
Okay, all right. And then after on review, she's got all these cool footsteps and noises and little bells dingling, and we're like, oh, that's so unfair.
Yeah, we learned from that. Now we put our dictaphones in random places, like in the bathroom or like. Yeah.
Well, no, she actually did that. She actually put her audio recorder in the toilet at the lake house.
On the toilet, not in the toilet.
And she got some really interesting captures, which was nothing to do with anyone going to the toilet. But it was like, how do you do that? She's like, yeah, that's her thing. And then she'll just sit and debunk everything as well. I'm just sat there like an excited puppy going, oh my God, did you see the shadow person? Oh my God, that's so exciting. And she's like, well, if you look at the humidity and the rotation of the light and blah, 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 blah. And then I'm like, okay, it's not. It's great. It's great. We need that on the team. That's good. What about you, Barb?
Special skills. I bring the awkwardness in it. The entertainment, awkwardness.
That's important.
The group photo, when we have the photo, I stand there and go, I don't know how to stand. So, the dancing, mind you, as Mark said, yours is the floss, Aimee. You are the floss queen.
Mine is the unfloss floss. It's I think my version of the floss is like, when you see people and they've got that machine that's like the water flosser, and they try and use it for the first time, and instead of flossing, the water goes everywhere. That's kind of my attempt at the fortnight floss dance. Really, it's not a floss. It's not good.
Aimee, we can have a floss off.
No, I only floss upon request from ghosts.
Okay,
So
well, okay, I'll make sure that I get something for you.
you're gonna have to manifest something here. Yeah.
We could always put you side by side, because you could do your floss and I've got the video of her floss, so we could do it side by side, and then we could have a poll on our website.
And then we'll have one of the ghosts doing a floss. Who did it better?
Can you floss upside down on a pole
While eating
Blue cheese.
while eating blue cheese?
I kind of need my legs.
I can talk while I'm flossing. I can, I'm all good.
Beautiful. You know what? I will show you. I'll give it a go, but if I don't respond, it's because I've fallen flat on my face and broken my neck.
I will say the one thing I love about Barb is like, it seems to be like she knows everybody and everything. Like you'll be talking about something, she'll go, "Oh yeah. No, I went there and blah, blah, blah." Yeah, she knows everyone, and she's got a friend, or she's like, "Oh yeah, my family used to own that," or whatever. It's like, it's so cool. Like there's a connection with everything. It's so cool.
That's like one particular place I really, really, really want to go to is obviously where you guys are, because we have a family house there. But yeah, I really, really, really would love to do a thing there. But I don't know everything. I just know random people that have been there or done things, or I've got family there, or I just like to bring the awkwardness.
We can bring that out of you more. We can make you more awkward. Trust us. When we're flossing up a pole with blue cheese, we can make that more awkward.
Just stand there awkwardly looking.
You'd be like, and I'm in the wrong group. Where am I? I'll be like, oh, whoops, sorry.
All right, well, it is 8:15, so I think our hour is up. So all you poor people that tuned in hoping to see John,
you get the HAGs
instead. But we will reschedule with John, and we'll put a link up so you know when he's going to come have a chat about all his stuff for you. But in the meantime, if you have any more questions, definitely just send us a message through Facebook Messenger. We're always happy to chat, always happy to hear your stories and places you recommend for us to go visit, all those kind of things. So thank you so much for putting up with us this evening. And we'll be in touch again. So for now, ka kite.
See you guys.
See ya.
Bye. Bye.